All right, let's do this thing. We are in Microbiomes lesson 2.1, and I will not talk in that voice the entire time. Reading the human microbiome. Hey, congratulations. We're in chapter 2 now. We've left chapter 1. Chapter 1 was all about basically trying to figure out how big are these things, these cells, these microorganisms that live on and in us. Well, chapter 2 is going to be learning all about what they're doing inside of us and what role they play. So interesting stuff, because I want to know, like, why do I have eyelash mites? What's the point of those? We're actually not going to find out more about eyelash mites, but you can on your own if you want to. We're going to find out some other things. So first things first, it's the warm-up. Go to Amplify lesson 2.1, reading the human microbiome. Click on your warm-up, and what do you know? Come on, there we go. It's that Petri dish again. Holy cow. Whoa, look at it this time. Hey, you know what, Mr. Wiggin? I don't exactly remember what it looked like last time. So some of these questions, I don't know exactly. Hey, check it out. Here we go. There it is. That was day 5. Day 5, this is what our Petri dish looked like. And now let's go back to day 9. Ooh, okay, day 5. Day 9, day 5, day 9, day 5, day 9. What do you notice? Do you see evidence of microorganisms? You're going to select yes or no and describe what you observe in that Petri dish. So, hey, take a minute, do the warm-up, answer those questions right now. Go ahead and hit pause and come back to me. Hey, here's what we should have said, something along these lines. The colonies of microorganisms are now visible. So, what we're looking at are tons and tons of microorganisms all in a colony. I think I used the example the other day. If you look at a grain of sand that's across the street from you, you probably won't see it. But if you look at a whole pile of sand across the street from you, you'll be able to see it. Well, guess what we're looking at? Piles of microorganisms. You can't see the individual ones, but you can see them when they're all lumped together. Now we have evidence about microorganisms that live on the human body. Because remember, we took this from what? Where did we get these from? A hand. Swabbed a human hand, swabbed it on the Petri dish, and ta-da! We grew all sorts of gross things. Activity 2, introducing active reading. Hey, we're going to read an article today. That's the main thing we're doing. We're reading an article, but we want to do this thing called active reading. What are we talking about when we talk about active reading? Well, life scientists, remember, that's kind of like your role right now. You're acting as a life scientist. You're trying to find out as much information about these microscopic living things that you can. Well, guess what? They read a lot. They read about investigations that other scientists have done, and they read to learn more about life science. That's a really important thing. What have people already said about this topic? What have people already learned about this topic? Maybe the question that I have that I think is so profound, somebody's already looked into that and somebody's already studied that extensively, and I can just read their research. Maybe I still end up wanting to do my own research. That's fine. They also read carefully and critically, making sure that they understand the ideas. Active reading, this is what we're doing, is a way of reading science texts, or any text, honestly, that is similar to how a scientist might read. So, hey, raise your hand. I know my hand is up. If you have ever read something for a class but realized you didn't actually remember or didn't try to really understand what you were reading. Yeah, right there. I can't tell you how many times, that I've tried to start reading something and all I can think about is the hamburger that I'm going to have for lunch. Well, active reading is hopefully a good way for us to be able to focus on what exactly we are reading. One of the things we're going to do is annotate. Annotating a text means recording your own thinking as you read. So as you're reading it and you start thinking about things, you write it down, you make notes of it, you highlight, you underline all these things. We're going to specifically talk about that in a little bit. So look at this article right here. Oh my gosh, this person, they highlighted, they wrote notes in the margins, they have different color highlighting. Please notice, they did not highlight the entire article. Why would that not be a good thing? To highlight because then nothing stands out. It all stands out. And then it's just, you may as well not have highlighted anything. Okay, moving on. Here, in Amplify online, we're going to be annotating it digitally. And this is an example of what it might look like digitally. So the notes that somebody wrote in the margins here, well, you're going to write notes, but they might appear over here. The highlighting, you can highlight in different colors in Amplify too. So that's actually pretty helpful. So let's go to our lesson, actually. We're in number 2. We're talking about active reading. And, well, I guess that's about it. We covered it all. Let's go to number 3. Reading the human microbiome. So what you're going to do, you're going to read this article, but what I want you to do is actually annotate and read actively, okay? So let's talk about a couple things. We observed evidence that there are different types of microbiomes on the human body, right? We looked at the hands, okay? So to learn more about these microorganisms, we will read an article. We're going to learn more about the microbiomes that we have. What is a microbiome, Mr. Wigan? I'm curious. I'm so glad you asked, because that's the next slide. What a great segue. You had no idea that you were asking the question that I was hoping you would ask. Microbiome, all the microorganisms that live in a particular environment, such as a human body, You may have heard of the word biome before. That would just be all the organisms that live in a particular environment. Well, now we're talking about all the microorganisms that might live in a particular environment. And maybe it's not just your body. Maybe we're only talking about a specific part of your body. Maybe we're only talking about your hand. Maybe we're only talking about your small intestine. I don't know what it might be. So throughout this unit, we're going to be reading a lot of articles that are going to give us a lot of information about the topics that we're studying. So let's take a look at how it works. First of all, anything that is underlined in blue, that's basically like a vocabulary word, something that you can hover over that word, click on it, and you will get a definition for that word. So a lot of times you might read it and say, what the heck is that? Oh, guess what? It's underlined, it's blue. I'm going to click on it so I can read the definition. Well, isn't that handy? I will model. I guess I'm supposed to model active reading for you. And we're going to do that on the next few slides, okay? Let's say you're reading this article, which you will read, The Human Microbiome, A World Inside You. Well, one of the first things I'm going to do, like I just did, is read the article title and then the title of the first section first, The Human Microbiome, The World Inside of You. And what I might do is I might write a question down about either the human microbiome or a world inside you. So, look, what does this mean? A world inside of you. Maybe I'll come to that answer like right away. Maybe I won't come to that answer until, close to the end of the article when I've summed it all up. But the question, the point is, write out a question. What does that mean? A world inside of me? What? No, I live in the world. What do you mean world inside of me? And we will come back to those questions and we will write answers to those. So this paragraph right here, it doesn't really answer the original question, the world inside of you. But hey, look, aliens. Oh, there's a world filled with strange creatures. The creatures of this world are invisible and they're not human. Aliens sometimes threaten to invade the world these creatures call home. Oh my gosh, what is this, a sci-fi novel? Okay, aliens, that makes me think of new questions. I might highlight that so that I can come back to it later. What do they mean, aliens? What is happening here? Oh gosh, I skipped ahead. There we go. As I read, I often find answers to my original questions. So, this world is not a far-off planet. It's your body. Oh, we're talking about my body. I thought we were reading science fiction. The creatures are called microorganisms. Your body is home to more than 100 trillion of them. Hey, I've heard this before. Microorganisms live on your skin, in your gut, in your nose, in your mouth, and pretty much everywhere else on and in your body. Okie dokie. Well, a world inside of you. Now I get it. They're talking about all the microorganisms that live on and in us. And the world, well, that's us. We are providing the world for these microorganisms. So, again, all of this is to show you how to make some notes, underline some things, annotate your articles, and you can do all of this within the reading in Amplify. Hey, look, sometimes what I read reminds me of other things I read or seen, and you can record those kinds of connections. So, okay, microorganisms. Are these the same microorganisms on the Petri dish that we saw? I have that question. It made me think of that. Is the article going to answer it? Not necessarily, but we could discuss it later. That'd be a robust discussion, right? So here's what you're going to do. Back to the lesson. Active reading guidelines. We're in activity 3 on the Amplify website. We have talked about microbiomes, and we are now here. And you're going to read. You're going to read this article. Where is it? Oh, the human microbiome. You can click on it and it'll go to it. And here's your act. Keep these things in mind. Think carefully about what you read. Pay attention to your own understanding. As you read, annotate, highlight, underline, write questions if you have any. Look at the visuals and read. Read the text under the visuals too. Look at all the pictures. I love pictures. And as you read, discuss what you have read with others. Ooh, that's the next step to better understand what you have read. So tell you what, go read that article. Make as many annotations as you can, and then come back to me. Go ahead and hit pause right now and do that. So, number 4, discussing annotations. I'm going to go ahead and click on number 4 right here, student-to-student discussion. Well, we're not going to really be discussing with other students yet. We might try to do this in the future, but this is how we would do it in class. So let's look at our slides again. What you're going to do is you're going to go through all of your annotations. You're going to decide which ones you want to talk about, okay? You can actually look at all of your annotations for the article if you click up there in the article as you're reading it. And here's what we're going to say with each of these annotations. You're either going to write hashtag share, okay, if it's something that you want to share with someone and talk about with a partner. Once you have talked about it, you can write hashtag discussed, saying that, yep, we talked about it, I wanted to share it, and we discussed it. And then next, if you decide, hey, this is something worth sharing with the whole class, you can write hashtag present next to it. So go through your annotations and do that. Decide which ones do you want to share. Obviously, we don't have a partner necessarily to share with right now, but if you can connect with somebody in our class, that would be awesome. And you can write discuss. And then please do this though. Write present on any of those annotations that you do feel, hey, I think this is something worth noting and worth bringing up and I'd like to talk about with the class, okay? So what interesting or unanswered questions do you still have about the article? Let's talk about this when we meet next as a full class. Please have something ready to share when we meet face-to-face, either on Thursday or on Friday, all right? And let's see, we're clicking through next activity. We're almost to the end. We are almost to the end here, people. Reflecting on active reading, activity number 5, and all it wants you to do, well, let's talk about this first. Active reading skills, it takes practice. It does take practice because we're reading critically, actively, writing notes, making sure we're understanding what we read. And if we have questions, that's fine. Just make sure you write it down so we can talk about it later. Our guidelines, we already talked about those. We looked at those. So for number 5, what it wants you to actually do, if we go back to it, it's saying, did you do these things? How similar is active reading to the way you normally read? Hey, maybe you always read that way. Great. Maybe it's, I don't know, sometimes kind of how I read. Or nope, I do not read this way at all. Personally, I like writing notes and things that I read. As I read, I paid attention to my own understanding and recorded my thoughts and questions. Hey, it's almost always going to ask you to do this after every article that we read in Amplify, so it's probably good to start getting a hang of this active reading thing. Making notes, making annotations, okay? And I think with that, ta-da, we are done. So I'm going to end it right here, and I will see you next time.